so I have this GE microwave oven combo. It's about 13 years old. The problem was the microwave power went out, but the oven power stayed on. This control panel up here went blank. This one kept working. My microwave wouldn't work. So I had three options. I could replace the whole thing because they don't make this one anymore. That would have been about $2,500. I could call a service technician out. Would have been about $200 for them to check it out. Or I could do it myself. See if we couldn't figure out what the problem was. I'm a pretty handy guy. Never worked on a microwave before, but what the heck. So I went to YouTube, looked up a lot of stuff, went to a website called justanswers.com where for a $5 trial you can talk to a technician who does know about microwaves, and I did that. So I took a shot at it, and what I did, first of all, to take this apart, you've got two torque head screws here. There's one here, one here. And once you take those out, this front panel comes off. You don't have to take the whole microwave out necessarily. You might have to test one item. I'll show you a little later. Now once you get these screws out, this panel just pulls out on the left and just sort of shimmies out of a holder here. Oops. And then just drops down and is held in place with a bracket. Now, make sure the power is off before you do all this. This particular microwave is a Model JTP90S0M1SS. Little heads up, if you're going to order parts, make sure you leave out the 0 before the M for some reason that is not needed. And if you try to look up parts, sometimes you won't get what you're looking for. All right, so when a microwave goes bad, 99% of the time it's going to be either a fuse or a switch. All microwaves are basically the same. They have a magnetron, which is this unit right here, which powers the whole thing along with its components. Sorry, this piece right here, it's got a fan in the back to cool it. It's got a power supply down here. And then it's got various fuses and switches. In this particular unit, there are 3 fuses. And almost all microwaves are similar. Their components are arranged a little differently. But in this particular unit, at the bottom is called a fan TCO. That's this little switch here. And that turns the fan on and off if the body gets hot. There's a fuse up here. Looks very similar to the one down there. There's a fuse in the back, which is a ceramic fuse, and it looks just like a regular fuse. Different places on a microwave, but you're all going to have one. So that's 2 fuses, and then there's one more over here on the outside of the body that you have to take the microwave out to get to. So you've got fan shut off switch, you've got a fuse here, ceramic fuse here, one on the outside. Then you've got your control panel, and then you've got 3 switches for the door. 1, 2, and then 1 down here at the bottom. Okay? 99% of the time, if something goes wrong with your microwave, it's going to be one of those things. Now, maybe I shouldn't say 99, maybe 97. At least that's what the technician told me. So if you're comfortable getting into this mess, you can test a lot of this yourself, but you're going to need a multimeter. This is a unit that tests circuit power, and so you set this to the lowest ohm setting. That's the little horseshoe. See the little horseshoe here? And a little horseshoe. Set it to the lowest setting. Now what that does is it tells you if there's power going through whatever you're testing. Now if you take these 2 electrodes, or I don't know what these are called. What are these called? Some electrician will know. Anyway, you take these 2 things, and when they're open, you see it just reads 1. When you touch them together, it changes. It's showing me that there's current going through these wires. Now, what an ohm meter does when you set it like this is it sends a slight current through one, and then when you touch them together, it makes the connection, closes the circuit, and changes the multimeter's reading. So open, close. All right. Now, what I was told was to check these fuses first. This fuse here, the fuse all the way in the back, and the one on the side of the body, sometimes they're on top, all should read closed. That means that there's current going in one side and coming out the other side. It's like touching these two prongs together and completing the circuit. It's closed circuit. This one on the bottom is to be open. That means it's not connected. When you touch the prong to one side and the other, you're going to get no current going through it. And that's because that's a switch that turns the fan on and off if this gets hot. The fuse blows when there's a short. So it's all closed most of the time, but then it pops, it's open and stops the current and everything shuts down. Most of the time it's going to be a problem with the fuse. All right, could be that thing. Sometimes it's the switches. This switch, and the one on the bottom here are all switches that tell the microwave when the door is open or closed to stop putting out power, because you don't want to fry your face when you open the door. When the door is open, this top one and the bottom one should be open. That means no current going through. And the middle one should be closed, which means current should be going through. And the way you test them is you put a prong on one lead and then the other and see what happens to the multimeter. If it's closed, the multimeter will change. If it's open, it'll stay the same. The one on the bottom, this switch down here, is going to be open. The fuses are closed, and then these are open on the bottom and top. When the door's open, middle one's closed. When you shut the door, it changes. Okay? Well, what I found out, all my fuses tested positive. I mean, they were working correctly. The one on the bottom looked like it was working correctly. So that meant I needed to test a control panel here on the top, because if all the fuses and everything are working, it might be a problem in your control box, but very rare for that to happen. So what I did was I took this bottom switch and replaced it for $35. Rather than call a technician. All my fuses were fine. This one here seemed to be fine, but it didn't make sense that everything worked but no power. So for $35 I changed that, and that was the problem. It had a short in it. It was closed, but the power was shorting into the entire box. So I made the decision to go ahead and replace that for $35 rather than call a technician out for $200, and took a chance, and voila, that was the problem. So what I'm getting to is, if all your fuses check out, chances are you might want to change that one on the bottom there, and that may be your issue. It was mine. Good luck.